Did you know that nearly 60% of engineers feel undervalued in their current roles, even though they meet or exceed expectations? That means that more than half of us are quietly overperforming while being overlooked. If you've ever worked twice as hard just to be taken half as seriously, you're at the right place. Welcome to another episode of MoloMolo African Tech Stories. Let's go. Hi and welcome to another episode of MoloMolo African Tech Stories. I'm Dr. PK, and in today's episode we are diving into something painfully familiar for many engineers, that is being undervalued. So let me start with the story. When I moved from South Africa to Germany in 2020, I left behind a leadership role in aerospace engineering. I was a manager leading other managers. I led high stakes reward projects. I had a privilege of not only being a manager, but also being someone who was able to be participating on a day-to-day as a design authority on autopilot design, flight testing, team coordinating, and so forth. I coached junior and mid-level engineers, right? And driven innovation in so many ways. But when I arrived here, I was offered only a team member role, even though I was a senior member. Now, it was humbling in many ways. It was painful. I told myself, hey, it's part of you moving to another country. You just got to take it. Now, at first, I told myself as well that just prove yourself, right? You're in a new industry. And to be fair, I was in a new industry. I was in commercial aircraft design, which traditionally from an aerospace defense, there is something novel in terms of standards and just a way of methodology. But something shifted as things go on. Even in my new role, I gave everything. I delivered projects over and over, spotted issues whenever they were escalating, but yet my input was often questioned. I even ended up leading a team, and man, did I give my all. But I've always felt that I wasn't really included in the major decisions. And I started to doubt my own abilities. Now, this was more than a career shift. It felt like a slow erosion of confidence where, that's when you start realizing, just being undervalued isn't just about your skill. It's about everything else, your visibility, your voice. It's really something that starts chipping away at the very being of that makes you special. Now, in today's episode, we're going to break down 7 clear signs that I believe you need to really watch out for that might essentially say maybe you are undervalued in your workplace. And what does that really mean? Now, sign number 1, you solve complex problems, but nobody notices you debug. You see, you debug legacy systems, you build simulations, you run tests. Some of us, we did so many tests. You automate painful processes that were done with legacy code that you now migrated to, better code through MATLAB packages, whatever the case may be. But when it's time to celebrate wins, you are nowhere on the slide deck. You're never mentioned. John is mentioned, Peter is mentioned, but it's just not you. Now, that was me, right? For so many years, whether it was a simulation model or a flight system, optimizing design, development workflows, and yet still being questioned, not recognized, not even referenced. Now, just expected to just keep things running. That's a hard one. But if you see this coming, or if you see this happening on a day-to-day as a pattern, this is a very clear sign that you are indeed undervalued. Sign number 2, you feel invisible in meetings. Now, let's just say you're in a meeting and you suggest an idea, but you watch it get ignored, right? It has happened to me so many times where it's 4, 5, 6 of you. Everybody's idea somehow gets at least a nod or that's interesting, or yeah, please elaborate. But yet your idea, for whatever reason, just completely gets ignored. And until someone else sometimes says the same thing just in a different way, all of a sudden it is brilliant. That silence afterwards says it all. It really gives and chips away at your confidence because you're thinking, what did I do? Is it me? Or hold on, can you guys hear me? But you're in the same room. And I remember these meetings where I would mention something, I will give a perspective, only for it to be discovered weeks later by someone else, and they will claim that was their idea. Now, this sign is incredibly important because it gives a sense that your voice is completely ignored. And don't ignore the sign. Sign number 3, you struggle to explain complex ideas clearly. Now, it's not that you're not smart. You wouldn't have this job in the first place. You've went to school, you've got a master's, maybe a PhD. So it's not that you're not technical enough. It's not that you're not able to process information enough. But it seems like it's harder to bridge that gap with non-technical listeners, whether it is a chief engineer, a program manager, or a safety officer, or just your boss. And you get these blank stares, and people nod politely, but it's just not doing it for them. And it's not really doing it for you because you're not getting the feedback that you would have hoped based on what you've said. Now, it's important that once I started building a framework to streamline reviews, also people didn't get it. So I was proactive, and yet I was still ignored. So it was something that I felt that, man, maybe I'm being too complex. But then if you shallow down, you are being deemed as incompetent. So I assumed that it was me, that this is the cost of just being overcomplicated. But do you know what? It's not. If one hits you with the one that thing that hits you the hardest, is the blank stares, right? The confused reaction, the someone speaking over you saying, "Yeah, actually, what he meant was," oh man, that rubs me the wrong way. I don't know about you, but damn, someone speaking on my behalf is probably the worst confidence breaker for me. But you've got to understand that this is something that really is important because this sign basically says you're going to work a lot harder. The default mechanism is to work a lot harder, is to work a lot harder on your presentation, on your code, so that you're able to explain it for different ways in different people. And it really is a burnout. So this sign is so important that indeed you should not take lightly. And by the way, if this hits you the hardest, blank stares, confused reaction, I've got a tool coming up later in this episode that could help you fix it. So stay tuned. Sign number 4. You work harder, yet others get promoted. Oh man, this one stinks. You've mentored others, you've pushed your architecture design forward, you've stayed up late with your team, but then someone with potentially half the skill, if not half the time in the company, but yet supposedly twice the confidence gets promoted. And you start wondering, did they know something I don't? Truth is, they know how to be seen. That's what I've realized. It's got nothing to do with competence. It's got everything to do with perception. Now you've been taught to just deliver. Deliver, deliver, deliver. Now, if this happens where you get in a rut, where your title has been a title for the last 5, 6, 7 years, my suggestion is you take this sign very seriously. There is something that you're not doing vis-a-vis your boss or vis-a-vis the decision makers that makes others become more seen than you, and this sign is something that you should take into consideration. Sign number 5, you avoid speaking up because you doubt yourself. Now, imposter syndrome isn't always loud. I struggle from it. I know. I've done plenty episodes. If you haven't seen some of them, click in the description or the titles above. See, sometimes it's that quiet voice saying, maybe I'm not senior enough to do or to comment on this. Maybe we often say, it's above my pay grade. That's usually something that is from a position of inferiority, from a position of feeling like you don't belong. Or maybe you say something like, maybe they are this is not the right question to be answering. And it's beyond my capability of giving an answer. Now, the story is, after stepping down from my managerial role in South Africa, I didn't just lose a title. I lost a little bit of confidence, just becoming a team member. Especially here where it was fast-paced in Lilium, I started second-guessing everything. And still, my technical thinking hadn't changed. I still felt that I was as sharp as before, but it was just my voice had changed. My ability to articulate, my ability to see people and speak to them in their way and not completely doubt what I'm saying. Now, if this sign is something that resonates with you, you definitely need to get someone to speak to, a mentor, a colleague, and really talk about the very mechanics on how you portray yourself when you speak, your body language, and really get the help that you need. Sign number 6, your documentation gets ignored. Now, imagine you write a 20-page report, right? You share your simulation results, your diagram dependencies, whatever the case may be. But then, silence. It was a well-crafted email. It took you an hour to craft it. But it's like throwing ideas into a void. Now, here's the problem. Now, you're documenting for clarity, right? You've been so methodical about documenting. But the system that you're documenting for is wired potentially for speed or for summary or for punchline. And unless you fight to make your work visible, your work, albeit great, albeit without any specific issues, just completely disappears. So this sign is not just about doing what you need to do, but it's doing what you have to do in order for the decision that you are looking for regarding a document, a result, a requirement, whatever the case may be, that action is actually taken upon. This is about smarts, not just put your head down in the sand. Now, sign number 7, you've burned out trying to do it all alone. So you've tried everything. You've tried speaking soft, you've tried speaking loud, you've tried looking people in the eye, you've tried summarizing your documentation, you've tried to learn, you've tried to upskill, you just tried. You've tried harder. You've learned more. You've tried to, just do things the way the company wants you to do things. You've covered gaps. You try to be the translator. You try to be the coder. But you realize you were doing this all alone, and eventually your passion just turns into exhaustion. Not because you're incapable, but because you're just unsupported. Nobody's actually putting the arm around you and saying, hey man, great job, keep going, I'm with you. I'll review your work, or review my work, or whatever the case may be, that support system that you need. And it's not about weakness, it's just about misalignment. Your team is dysfunctional, your management relationship potentially dysfunctional, and you're just spending more energy on surviving, putting your head above water, than thriving in an environment that's supposed to support you. Now, this sign is all about whether you are in the right place, whether it is time to move on, or whether it is time to pivot. But don't ignore the sign, because burning out is directly related to mental stress. Now, by now, you probably recognized one or more of these signs in your own journey. The truth is, being undervalued doesn't mean you're underperforming. In most cases, it means your value isn't just clearly seen, it's not clearly communicated. And that's exactly why I created the Technical Proficiency Checklist. It's more than just a tracker. It's a strategic self-awareness tool to help you document your strength and grow areas clearly, reflect on the real impact you've had, express your technical contributions in ways that resonate with both engineers and decision makers. And if there's one sign this checklist directly helps with, it's your struggle to explain complex ideas, where clearly many brilliant engineers get ignored, not because they lack skill, but because their message just gets lost in translation. This checklist gives you a clear structure to map out what you've done, how you've done it, why it matters, which meetings you need to bring such information, and how you should bring that information at which meetings. It turns out your technical journey into a language others can understand, which is with respect and reward. I've seen engineers use this tool to reframe how they speak about their work in meetings, performance reviews, or even job interviews. And the shift is immediate. People start listening, opportunities start coming, and confidence starts building. Now, if these signs hit close to home, take a breath. You're not alone. You're not broken. You're not failing. You're just under-recognized. You are misaligned, and that can be changed and be fixed. So this is my suggestion. This is what you can do. Learn to tell your story more often. Be visible, not just capable. Tell people where you're from, what makes you different, why your culture just makes you smile, and the things that you love eating, and the food and the music. Start explaining your impact, not just at work, but in other areas of your life, whether it is church, or it is your family, or it is even helping the orphanage. Not just your task. Your perspective matters. People want to know who you are because you fundamentally are interesting. Surround yourself with people who remind you of your worth, even when you forget. People who have a positive outlook on themselves are able to unearth a positive outlook in others. Avoid toxic workplace discussions and meetings. I run away from them. I don't have time for toxic. If I've been in one toxic meeting, either I keep quiet in that meeting or I just don't attend and make an excuse. It's okay. You're not going to get fired. And most importantly, don't internalize structural problems as personal flaws. If your business or if your company or if your team is dysfunctional, it's got nothing to do with you, and most probably it's got a lot to do with just the structure of your manager or the team that has been constructed around you. So if you're ready to take on the next step, join me on a 20-minute call and we discuss all these signs, specifically the ones that tick you the most and really makes you shed a tear. Let's try and unearth and see how we can help each other ensure that we can indeed move on to the next step of our careers and fulfill our true potential. Thank you for listening to MoloMolo African Tech Stories. This was another podcast. I'm Dr. PK. And just remember, the fear of not belonging is the biggest enemy to self-discovery. So own the room. Thank you for watching. Until next time. Ciao.